Greetings, peace, peace, peace. I'm gonna go ahead and make this right quick because it's very vital. I gotta direct my energy somewhere else. But for my own divine protection, that'd be the greatest lesson, boy. When you know that your shadow or your emotions, which come from the shadow, can get the best of you. You don't want to go back to the old version. It ain't even just the old version, it's just a parts of you that you know you can just whoo. But let's give an honor to the source, to the most high, the creator, making all this possible. But let me shed light on something that's very vital for people that are on the healing journey, coming into this awareness of who you are more and more, and realizing, like, when you hear people say that you can't save no one, that means like they still got to go through immense amount of lessons or go through things just as a child would. So a part of like how could I say that? Being like immature in spirit, being immature or unevolved. The signs are there. I'm making this video up under a full moon, and I had to realize like some people, like I'm learning something, gratitude. I've just come to a self-realization, like, one thing, y'all, you have to express to your children wherever you are, because a lot of us didn't grow up with this awareness, with these foundations, and the world is changing. Yo, that's weird. Like, as a man and as a fucking father, and then just as again, the importance of the inner child, as you navigate through this world and you start to learn more how shit is just as spiritual as it is physical, meaning that people are battling with shit that ain't got nothing to do with you. And I was just expressing to someone, like, I had to be raw and real with them. You know, people, it's not even people, but a lot of those, when you're dealing with people, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth because it's so uncomfortable, because they don't want their illusion shattered. They don't want, because a lot of people have been living in a fantasy world. We're here to enjoy life and to thrive. But it's also, like, it's not about being serious. It's also, it's a time, what it says, a time and place to play or just to take things serious or not. But I say that because when y'all hear me talk about the inner child and why I speak on certain topics like prioritizing, is because your world will look completely different as you have a child, have children, then more importantly pour into your inner child, because you will see the importance of how your inner child is a bridge to your external children, because they're a mirror and a reflection of you. And so I had to express to someone, like, we are living and have lived two different experiences. You have your own individual experience, and also you have to remind people that, for one, you grew up in a fantasy world. A lot of us grew up in a fantasy world. You know, this is the thing that was so dangerous about what they uttered. They had mentioned signs of the time. They had mentioned, like, they care about how someone treats them kind. I get that. But what people don't realize, when you in tune, you go off the frequency and the vibe, and you start to realize, like, a lot of that shit don't even matter how kind someone can treat you, because you don't know what's in the shadows with them. You don't know what they battling with. I tell them, I was like, you don't realize, like, ulterior motives is a real fucking thing. What do you think has been going on in the fucking world? How people been getting tricked out of certain shit and tricked into position? It's because people are unaware of how important it is to be discerning. Because motherfuckers have ulterior motives. People hide, what is it, glamour. Like, they hide behind their money, their magic. They hide behind being kind. Telling you, bro, you want to live a prosperous life or abundant life and so forth, you got to be discerning with that shit too. When folks try to show up in your life, when people, family and all that other stuff, people come in and want to, oh, hey, you know. And you know what I had to tell them? I was like, you know what? You just gonna learn. I'm gonna just have to let you learn through something like being a child. I'm just gonna have to, like, you just gonna have to learn a valuable lesson. Appreciate it. And that's all I was saying. I was like, you know what? And it's just like, once y'all start seeing people like kids, but then when you can no longer overlook the fact of what they haven't got as a child, what they haven't received, and so forth. Because a lot of their foundations or a lot of what they want to uphold, it cannot be it isn't maintained through a lot of integrity, or they didn't get the foundations. And the reason I be telling you this, especially as women, as mothers, because a lot of y'all get finessed. A lot of y'all get tricked because the first thing they'll do is be kind to y'all. The first thing they'll fucking do is be nice. They'll come in, they'll glamour, meaning just like how y'all put on makeup, how y'all put on stuff and dress up in the physical, they'll do shit like that. But then you're gonna realize, like, whole time that nigga or shawty got ulterior motives. Meaning, like, people have plans. You think that people, it's just like what's happening with me now. I'll give you experience. I've stayed in integrity, and I don't have to prove that to no one. Hey, I'm making a video, man. Okay. You want a camo? Want a cameo collaboration? But it's just like when you know that you're on a path and you're walking through something and you're staying, you know, you're being true to yourself. You start to realize, like, damn, you're getting clarity of people. You start to become aware, like, oh my gosh, fuck. Whole time, that's not to say everyone had ulterior motives, but when you're dealing with shit, when it's balanced out spiritually, you will realize that there are shit attached, there's things attached to people, or there's things that they're battling with. And it ain't always to do with, like, I mean, on certain levels you can say good or bad, but it's just certain things they haven't faced within themselves. So they have our ulterior motive or intentions on being one thing, but then they switch up. It's just like a dude come in, try to wine and dine you the whole time. He just, you know, y'all know, he just want one thing. But when you not in tune and secure and aware and all this other shit, you'll fall for the okie doke. And the beauty of all this is become aware that that's how energy comes back around. That's how energy presents itself for your own protection, for your own awareness to realize, oh, I don't got to go through that again. And that's how not only you close out cycles, but I had to learn, even with this, with people. I was expressing to someone, I'm like, we live in two different worlds. I had to tell them, listen, let me tell you something. A mother lover that's in tune, that's grew up in the streets, not just in the streets, but how could I say this? I grew up around people who had no, I mean, if you had to ask me, people that were, if y'all want to call them in the hood and poverty and so forth, I feel like we were exposed to those lower level energies, entities, spirits that wanted to keep people in the dark so much, to why I see the focus on why certain individuals and or people were not supposed to, y'all like to use the word awaken, but come into this awareness, because they will become more aware of how to move, not just in the physical, how aware you have to be when it's a balance in life. It's funny because I'm making this shit in a Libra moon, full moon, because there is a balance. And then when you start to become more aware, you start to become more aware that when I say shadows, you start to realize, like, it's like being aware of your visions and dreams and being in tune spiritually, is because you no longer overlook the fact of what motherfuckers are showing on the surface. The divine reveal it to you in other ways. And then you won't question, like, oh, you can present to me like you want to on the surface, but there's more depth to you. And that's the reason of knowing thyself, to show thyself approved, because as you know more about yourself, you will start to realize, well, shit, If I've learned in the past, I got shit that come with me, and I know me, then how a motherfucker gonna get over on you? Because everybody got something in the closet or everyone got shadows. Now it's all how you operate. So this is where I had to tell someone, and I started to realize this, like, you wonder why a breakup or split or certain shit happen with people or certain relationships. You hear people say, oh, vibration or my frequency or certain shit change. Yes, that's a part of it. Good. Oh. But another thing that's a part of it is that it be not only for your protection, but it's also for your protection too, where something will be revealed to you about this individual, about their motives. See, ulterior motives or hidden motives can be something that you thought that was just a dream or a vision the whole time. This is how these motherfuckers really moving. This is how they moving in the spirit, in the shadows. So think about how people just present themselves on the surface. This will come with time when people start to learn this, like to get more in tune, because this is the thing about coming more online, or you'll be able to recognize for real what's what, and then be able to be in tune to see, okay, you ain't who you say you are. You can really start to pay attention, like, I know you better than you know yourself. That's what a mother really don't like. It's because you start to realize, like, I hear you talking, but you're not really that. Because not only your actions haven't shown it, but your actions literally reflect what you've been putting out. And whatever you haven't faced within yourself reflects the fact of what you're hiding in the shadows within yourself. Whatever you have built up. And I'm telling you, a clear indication is that once you start being honest and mirroring back shit to people, watch how they react. Watch how they react. Because I had to also express to someone, I started to recognize it now. I realized, like, how much in the presence of people and somewhere, like, how much I was protecting them. Not just simply by being in their presence, but I started to learn, like again, like they were talking about, they focus on how someone, you know, they was telling me, like, oh, I'm focused on how someone is being kind to me. I'm like, bro, that's one thing I realized. Like, I was sitting here telling myself, this is how a lot of women and or people who are vulnerable, who are not in tune, who don't listen to themselves, this is how they get fucked up. Because again, like I was going back to, people strategize now because you start to realize, like, you don't just see them in the physical no more. You start to see them spiritually. And so when the divine reveals something to you, you can't unlearn it, because let me show you how detrimental and dangerous that shit can be. Because if you try to get into certain shit again, sometimes it can come with something even more fatal. So that's the thing that most people won't tell you, is something like that. Is like how people, again, their ulterior motives whole time. That's why they say, what is it? Jealousy is one thing, but envy is another. Because people can be holding on to shit within them, and the whole time they have ulterior motives. Hey, you look like you ready to take off. Don't pull him off the steps now. Trying to get a smell. Get on that. Little dog, but. And the reason I'm expressing this shit to y'all, man, is the fact of, it's very vital during these moments, because as the world shifts, a lot of shit get exposed. A lot of shit is on people. A lot of shit is on people. And guess what? It's so, when you hear it's so easy for people to mask, that means it's so easy for them to portray who they want to in the light. Motherfuckers are like, I told someone, I said, you literally grew up in fantasy, because let me tell y'all something. When you see the forecast of people like, oh, she's so kind, she's so this. But why aren't we ever taught, which we naturally have this instinct when we're young to be intuitive and to pick up on energy and shit. right now where I'm at, man, I'm sitting here like, I don't want to shake hands. I don't want your vibe. I don't even want to hug. I don't want to do certain shit because I realize, like, even through the fact of me showing up as myself, I can see the uncomfortability and just in my presence being where you are for some people. Even in the fact of, like, when you navigating through the world, you still gotta keep your head on a fucking swivel, bro. Like, you still got to, that's a part of loving yourself, because loving yourself won't place you into certain predicaments again where you feel like, oh, I gotta, I'm doing what's best. And again, some people only know what's best for them when it comes to the fact of they only know one way of life, and they wonder why they keep going through the same shit. Hold on, I gotta pause this because I'm finna walk in to the study room. But yeah, I'm not saying this shit like for people to be scared and, oh my gosh, no, it's just discerning because as the vibe and the frequency change of a lot of things, you just gonna become more online. Like, the world is gonna see its own reflection. Meaning, like, people are going to really start to see how, not just evil, but how wicked shit is. And the only thing you're doing is learning to play the game. And it's like, shit, it's funny at the same moment because it's like, it's a part of just not just taking your power back, but you already having your power. Because in reality, who has really taken anything? But it's like merging words with someone, like, just, you know how you can meet people who's overly nice? That shit has literally become a red flag for me, because I can naturally pick up on the bullshit with a lot of people. And one thing about your intuition or your discernment, it's not gonna ever lead you down a path of regret. And again, like I said, the more awareness of things, like, it's just like for some of y'all, your children coming up and say, Mommy, I don't like him, or Mommy, they pick up on stuff and they say, because your children can be fucking in tune and pick up on some shit with somebody. The whole time you're ignoring it because and this is how I had to learn about a lot of people, or some people, they're so surface level that them not being spiritually in tune, automatically, I just know how to deal with them now. I just know how to interact in a way to where even that or not at all, because simply they just show something. And again, when we're not taught to be discerning, or we've gotten so awake, so far away from that shit, that is huge. Think about girls and boys who would have grew up with foundations, where you like, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. If it don't feel right, walk away, leave, back out, so forth. Think about that with relationships, people, business, and so forth. And the reason this is because this is the thing that's being cleansed, so we can approach things completely different. Shit, I be having real and raw conversations, like, with the mother of my children about even similar things. I'm like, I gotta tell you, listen, you grew up in a fantasy world. Everyone wants to tell you. People love to be nice on the surface. And these can be some of the most wicked or evil people within themselves. You don't know what type of motives they have, especially when you start to do things differently and they don't like that shit. You don't know what comes up for people, bro. And that's how I learned how that the divine has slowly removed me from people, because I had to change my perspective even when I didn't want to. Even I wanted to see like, oh, it's love, it's this. And that's the thing about how we've been fooled on the surface level, or what love actually is. When you have a love for self and learning more about yourself, why would love put you in situations, the way they romanticize this earthly shit or just shit like that? Why would you sit there and think like this person is not just everything, but the fact of just, what's that? Why would you believe that's just all to this person? It's not. And that's the beauty of me learning more about even who I am and realizing like how I have to move through stuff. Because even in this full moon, it still brings up stuff. I talked to someone recently, and it's just like the same conversation. A lot of these transits be reminding me, especially Libra, because Libra rules not just balance being restored, but the relationship aspect, because it's the relationship first with spirit and in the physical. So a lot of people who are not in tune with that, they will be more focused on the surface level of relationships rather than it being in tune, because you know that when you're in tune with things as such, then you will have a move. That's the thing I keep telling y'all, move accordingly. I'm telling you, like, the shit we moving into, a spiritual man and woman will be so sought after, because it's the fact that you can't hide anymore. People can't hide no more on the surface, because people who have met their shadow are able to see them. People who can't hide in the shadows no more, try to just be who they can't pretend to be what they want to be on the. It's so many different things. It's just like, it's so much judgment and conviction going on right now, that like, that's why you see people like tread lightly with you after you start to tell them about themselves, because that's how karma play out with a lot of shit. And I'm seeing it right now. That's how I'm able to know how I need to handle things with certain people, with certain connections. Certain people I won't even ever. That's why some of y'all can be more in tune when it comes to certain relationships, whether it's with a partner, certain things that you come online and you really gotta let them go through shit. That's anything though. Cause it's just a balance. I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh. It's a balance. It's a beautiful thing too, because it's just like, again, I had to learn to look at people like from a child, but also I had to see the spiritual aspect. Because there's so much people hold on to that they're just now seeing. And what you can't overlook is the fact of like, okay, the possibility of this could go this way or that way. Let me be mindful. Let me be mindful. Let me move accordingly. I swear that my hair grow back so damn funny sometimes. I'm just letting the shit grow, man. I think with locks, you don't really need to care about it if you have a hairline. But anywho, yeah. And it's the patience too, because, no, man. It's the patience with everything. But it'd be wild, because when you become more in tune, it's just like, you know not only what to expect from people, but one thing about vibrating differently or doing things differently, not only can people not hide and you recognize who they are in the shadows and then to what they try to mask on the surface, it's just like there's this, not so much scarcity, but it's this awareness around like, how does this person know this about me that I don't even know? Or they get more shocked in the fact of like, whoa, you don't have to say, you don't have to do. No, I'm gonna just step the fuck away, step out, because I'm not finna be in a line of gunfire as I was. I've learned very valuable lessons with a lot of people. You have, like, every relationship is never gonna be the same. But you have to remember the most vital relationship is with yourself. Yourself and your like soul, spirit, whatever you wanna call it. That shit wild, cause sometimes like, you can't make a motherfucker see, you can't make a motherfucker accept nothing. It's wild because I noticed a lot of things. It's like, I was telling someone like, bro, as much as you think I don't know something, I don't have to prove it. But if the divine reveals something to me, and you wonder why somebody's treating you a certain way, I'm saying like, bro, it's wild, because so many people have been convinced to think that just because someone's being nice or kind, that that's just everything. You know how many people have got sexually abused
mentally, verbally, financially, when a motherfucker, bro, that sounds so narcissistic, bro. That sounds so manipulative and controlling because it's like you just telling people, like, oh yeah, as long as they're nice and kind to you, then you do the same in return. No. One thing is very vital with expressing to these children is that, again, don't take shit for face value. Take it like a grain of salt. Because I see people, man, I'm telling you, bro, as I learn to be more emotionally safe within myself and rebuild that and recalibrate that, it's so vital to align with people who know the importance of that because they value things completely different than people who just see shit on the surface. And that's a part of alignment, though. That's a part of the beauty of things. It's just like, it's like, think about the discernment a lot of people have when they just think they introduce into their kids to a man, but not knowing nothing about this man spiritually or what comes with him. That's why I'm telling you, bro, shit finna get, whew, I can see it. It just makes so much sense because we're transitioning in these transits, these things that happening within us all, like the way the stars align, just the way things happening. It's purposeful because it reveals so much to where it's gonna expose false empowerment, leadership, how much people thought they knew, how much they thought they were safe, how much they thought they were secure, financially, mentally, emotionally, and so forth, because being in tune, it relates to all of those things. That's why you will have people who are not in tune panic about financial shit. They'll want you to panic, but somehow, some way, the divine's like, no, don't panic, chill out. If I showed you something, then I want to also show you that this is how you know who's moving spiritually. I gave you this vision because this motherfucker might try to backdoor you. This person have ulterior motives. They see this thing. So this is the funny part. I started becoming aware now that motherfuckers knew how spiritual you were, not like knew the power that you had. A lot of people know just naturally, just think about as a kid. You know, they used to make jokes about that. Man, he's so weird. She's so da 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 da. You know, you need to go get her checked out the whole time. That's the fucking child with the innate gifts or gifts that is here to protect not only your goofy ass in the spirit, but in the fucking physical. And then for a lot of us, we are still those children that now, as their world fucking collapses, and as they panic, as they sit in silence, as they call us foolish for being who we are, now, guess what? We won't be accessible like that. Because I started to realize, like, in people's ignorance and people's lack of discernment and shit, I warned people years ago I warned mothers and a lot of people. There was even one video I told this mother, I didn't even know I had like this vision that came to me about this girl. And I knew it was for my protection because I feel like it was something that wanted me to lure me into her situation. But I'm glad we was at distance. Whole time it was something familiar, a familiar spirit. To where again, discernment. Things could be, you know, people can say one thing over the phone or this and that. But that's the thing about how a lot of relived experiences, a lot of trauma things, we naturally, because we have no awareness of them, will go against our intuition or discernment just to be unhealthily a part of something. And so I had told her, because I made a video, I think this was like a year and a half ago, and I had made a video about telling certain women, like, being that a lot of men aren't in tune or aware or have become aware or like did the shadow work, those shadows will consume them. Meaning like the very things that they hide, it will come out like immensely or just almost impulsively, and they will lash out. That has nothing to do with them, but it's just a spiritual thing, it's an emotional thing and so forth. And so when they don't have control, then it begins to control them, if that makes sense. Like, they realize how much they never had control of their emotions. Not even just control, but never know how to navigate it. So it was like a warning. It was like a signal. And this is from a person who experienced environments as such, to where emotional safety has a lot to do with child development, being discerning. Now I'm able to recognize who the fuck is safe for me. I don't care about no status. I don't care about what the fuck they look like. None of that shit. My inner child, my heart, every part of my body, my being that I've learned to regulate my nervous system, is able to pinpoint, pick up on any and everybody who is unsafe, emotionally unsafe, because you will feel it. It will be a familiar spirit to what you grew up in, whether it was trauma related and so forth. So now it's the integrity for some of us, it's like to make a divine exit, safe exit for some, you know. But even with that, it's just like I had told this chick, like I'm like, yo, I saw something like with this guy that you were with, and he just like start attacking you or something with you and the kids. But it was wild because our interactions had a lot to do with it. I was like, yo, you sure they okay with that? Or this and that? And, and I'm like, you know, and I feel like a lot of what she did had a lot to do with how dangerous it is to step out with someone and again, engage with them spiritually, or you don't know what comes with them. And so you bringing that back home to where you are with your kids, and then you laying down with this person. Bro, as much as y'all think that shit ain't important, that's what the world has wanted you to convince. Like, when you pass this shit on, it's a lot to do with, that's a lot of spiritual shit too. People that taking on stuff, holding on to stuff and so forth, their belief systems, how they think, it's an energetic thing. So moving forward, fast forward to, I think it was months ago when I told her that, that she told me that, she said, yeah, it was just how we connected or something. We talked again, and it's almost like I can pick up on something. Man, why the fuck did she tell me that this nigga pushed her down a flight of stairs when she was pregnant, head butted her or some shit, something like that? And I was like, yo, what? And it's like I told her, but I couldn't really, in that moment, it's like you plant a seed. You can't make people do shit. You can't make them. And this is why I tell y'all how vital it is to become more in tune as if you were a child. In your inner child healing, in your healing state, you realize like every man or woman holds a father, mother energy. And that energy can either be safe or unsafe. It literally doesn't matter who it is going to give off something that intuitively you can pick up on. Ain't that wild? No, that shit it's just the alignment of the fact of how it's always been. Because when you think about the communities of our mothers who grew up and had communities of people together, you know, women were safe with each other. Mothers were safe amongst their children. And another mother can intuitively pick up on that shit. She can pick up on that shit. Think about that. When the indigenous women or women who built tribes and communities, it wasn't an issue with a lot of stuff, because you're dealing with the fact that when you talk about sexual traumas, when you talk about a lot of traumatic experience that people hold within their body, this has a lot to do with not just trust, but the numbness. And what was the other thing? It was just in my head, like, it was talking about, again, the connections of how to be even decisive or intuitive. Like to pick up on those nonverbal cues or all those other things, because 85% is what people are not seeing. So what the fuck does that tell you? Something intuitively. So a lot of these things are being revealed because as women, I tell y'all, matriarchally become more in tune, you're going to recognize intuitively, vibrationally, frequency, to know who is safe, not just for you, but for your kids. It's very vital. And it goes for men too. Because a lot of these women reflect that distorted mother energy as a man reflects that distorted father energy. So when you are living in authenticity and integrity and so forth, that shit that's not familiar to people, it literally is triggering. But they don't recognize it as it being triggering for them to come back home to self, to recognize what is safe, what home in they self that they need to declutter, the things that they ignored, that kept them from their intuition, their essence, their imagination, their creativity, their being in alignment with source. Because being in alignment is just like my children even knowing what's safe, who's safe. And I've noticed a pattern. I ain't gonna go into detail about that, but you will notice a pattern how, again, kids gravitate towards things naturally that makes them feel safe. But due to the fact that, what is it, Stockholm syndrome that a lot of us have went through, we naturally, unconsciously develop like a loyalty to those who preyed on our childhood woundings. But in recovering that, no longer being in that spell, now that that spell is broken and the veil is thin, I'm telling you, I told y'all, it don't matter celebrities or nobody. I can tell what motherfucker ain't safe. If a motherfucker talk about fucking women all the time and all kind of shit, what the fuck would make you think that even when my daughter's this young, I wouldn't question that you have some type of spiritual attachment, that's all you care about. That all you have is women idolizing and doing shit over you. Why the fuck would I want my daughter to even think that that's something you as a man, that for one, that won't even reflect the values and what I would bring her up in. Core values, integrity. Because what a motherfucker say with their mouth comes out of their heart. How people speak, and then you gotta think about what they built their shit on. They literally build their life on that. And if you remove all of that shit, a lot of them energetically, a lot of them, what you're about to see, won't have shit. Because then they'll have to build shit from a place of what? A place of emotional security. Not lust, not other shit that, again, doesn't have longevity. That's just what's been given to y'all. To think that there's longevity in that shit. No, a lot of that shit will lead you right to the very lessons you need to learn. Ask anybody who battled with lust or certain shit. You get certain shit that you didn't want, or greed and all types of stuff. You will meet someone who is just as who's just as lustful, greedy, or whatever it is. It's just like, that's the point of bringing balance, bringing awareness to shit. And so, again, it's the awareness around people being able to see, like, a lot of it's, again, coming back home to self. Tell you, man, you start seeing shit from a completely different lens, because it's wild to see the shit that people hide, but at the same time, it's funny because you realize, like, this is that little boy and girl within you that's been discerning since you were very young. But your mother and father never told you that. They never cared because they dealt with their own stuff. They dealing with their own stuff and still are. They still are. And once you clock their T, or clock, what the fuck they say? Clock, once you clock that shit, you can't unsee it. You just gotta move accordingly. And just be in gratitude and integrity, but still get to live your life, because this is the thing that, again, how people realities are different. The thing about, as the frequency and a lot of stuff changes, you will start to recognize how innocent people are not when it comes to how they move like devils or how they move with ulterior motives. Because that's just what their intentions are. And the funny thing about it, it's funny, but it's not funny, is that it's fucked up. But at the same moment, the more I've learned, that I become more in tune with just to tell me, like, just get ready, position yourself, because there are others like you. The world will make you believe that it's not. But nah, man, it's just like, if anyone knows, like, just know, like, if you know an addict, you know, a person who escapes through substance abuse and or sex, right? You start to realize, like, oh shit. You know how they, man, you know, they come with this story or something, like they try to be overly nice and so forth. Whole time, their motive is just to get high. You know damn well not to give nobody on the street $1,000, $100,000. I be seeing them videos, I be like, this definitely for clicks or some shit, clickbait for real, because just to even show someone you doing that, it's a whole nother level of like, why do we need to see this? But again, that's just what the world likes, or some people. But anywho, you don't just give people that, because eventually you're just placing them right back in something. In reality, it's like, you got to know that some people are choosing their suffering. And that's a part of like even the dark night of the soul, or the shadow aspect of people learning about themselves and realizing like, you too have to come out of this shit. You too got to go through them lessons. I had to learn that even with a lot of people who wasn't ready. When you see a lot of people not ready to go the long haul with you, it has a lot to do with the fact of they're so familiar with staying on the surface with stuff, caring about their image, how they want to be perceived to the world, the good guy, girl, you know, the image. And what people don't realize, like, a lot of them, you don't know what they do behind closed doors. You don't know what they operate with. That's the thing about the spiritual and the shadow aspect. Now I'm becoming more aware. I told myself, like, oh yeah, you can see people clearly, because when you become balanced and learn more about who you are, it's easy to discern. And you realize, like, dang, I went away from this when I was around my teenage and early 20s. But returning home to this shit, I know I have to interact with you this way. Because why would I want to go down that road again? Why would I want to do that? And some people will tell you through their words, they'll tell you. They'll let you know. It ain't just actions. They'll let you know. Like, they'll tell on themselves. I'm saying, like, okay. And so that's the thing about, again, like, I've had some experience with people like, yeah, you're not discerning at all. You'll take on anything. That's the thing that's so dangerous, like not having balance or being imbalanced. Like, a motherfucker just open you up or open themselves up to anything. And then that's important too when you're in partnership or relationships or even business. It's just like how people don't value privacy, because a lot of shit is sacred or to be protected spiritually. This is why a lot of shit is the way it is too. Oh, I know somebody who can do this. This is a private practice or certain shit. That's why a lot of people who are in tune are moving the way they, like, a lot of people we know now, the importance of shit is like, we finally in a lifetime get to choose the direction we want to go in. It's like, because when you become subjected to someone else's karma and not be discerning, you're letting them decide your fate. Y'all gotta realize that's why a lot of people leave this world, and if y'all call it dying or transitions, because y'all have no fucking discernment. Y'all don't trust in the divine and the vision like long enough to actually realize, like, you have to go through the cycles of integrity. You have to go through the shadow aspect of the things you didn't want to know about people or learn about this world and so forth, just to build a whole fucking new one that's unfamiliar to everyone, even the people closest to you. And a lot of them, again, I tell you, a lot of people ain't going to accept, believe shit until it's tangible, because that's how much they've been on the surface. But when people start to become more balanced, and that's the thing about people who are not in tune or don't care to be, that's the balance. That's the balance between people, very few being in tune. And even you got to be discerning, even with people spiritual, because they get to this fucking self-righteous and high horse shit, and they have all the answers. Not over here. It comes in levels. It comes in increments. It comes in just like a little child. You'll get glimpses, But in the spirit, that shit is timeless. You don't know that shit 5, 10 years, whatever it is. And, that's the thing about patience too. Boy, patience is a whole nother thing. So, yeah, man. Like, you think some shit you don't want. And it's important because when you're in the process of building something or being a blueprint or cycle breaker, it's vital to see those things. Right? I don't seem like there's definitely okay, I'm just taking it as a sign. All the fucking U-Haul trucks. But yeah, again, like a lot of things I didn't want to know about people, but it was literally mirroring back to me like, okay, this is for your protection. Because people want you to be easily trusting after certain shit that's happened. It's like, no. Somebody has to be in integrity. Someone has to be 10 toes down when it comes to boundaries, because people want you to be easily trusting, but that's the thing that why a lot of our kids or certain shit has happened to us repeatedly. It's because people are so easily trusting, like after some shit has happened in their life. They want to open that door again when it comes to family and shit like that. They want to, no. And it's so vital because, again, this Libra full moon is highlighting these things around balanced relationships, restoration, karma, dharma, a lot of things, because as much as you don't want to feel and see stuff, you realize, like, yeah, I have to move accordingly, because you'll know after, even when you part or move away from stuff, like, okay, this was supposed to happen the way it was, because it's just with anything in life. Because it was challenging for a lot of us, especially growing up, where you did not have the opportunity because of a mother or father or because of a caregiver who, again, was so stuck in their ways. And I know for a lot of people, it's like as soon as they got that opportunity, they was like, oh, I'm out this motherfucker. But man, like I said, just talking with people and just hearing them, like, yeah, you have no idea. That's another way of dodging other people's karma too, man. It's like you realize how much they haven't grown within themselves or haven't really gotten to know themselves more. And that's when you realize the unequally yoked in connections, business and so forth, values, belief systems. All of these things are vital, especially towards what you're creating and building. And it's so vital, especially when you have, let's say, a family or want to build on community and expand. For my mothers and fathers, this is very vital. It's so important that you have the same be like-minded or have core values. Because if I'm expressing to someone like the discernment in vetting people, but you never know what that was. And a lot of women don't know what that is. A lot of mothers don't know what that is, because you see people who have just introduced their children, don't realize introducing someone, not introduce your children, but yeah, part of that, introducing, a lot of these systems were created like that, to keep the trauma loop going, to keep kids, it's almost like keep them preyed on, to keep them cycles of pain and shit. To keep them in a loop of believing like this is always going to be, mom and dad is never going to protect me and so forth. No one ever was there for me and so forth. It made me think about people in fucking group homes and shit. You gotta realize a lot of this shit is and has collapsed already, to bring a different awareness to how we are to, like I was expressing to someone, through my lessons with you, through my lessons with what was connected to you and anyone else that I know, I've had to rebuild and reconstruct what emotional safety is for me. So for one, it's not about trusting you. It's about realizing that the trust has to be recreated, rebuilt over time. That's with my mom, that's with a lot of people, because they easily show me what they value. And I have to move accordingly. I have to be discerning. I have to move strategically, because it's just as vital it's just as much as like whether I'm away from people, I have to be just as discerning when I'm in the presence of them. Because you know motherfuckers ain't doing no shadow work. You know motherfuckers ain't healed, ain't try to do no therapy, ain't try to do nothing, working on themselves. So they are just as dangerous when I was 5 as now when I'm 36. So that's the thing about not just vetting people, but you're teaching them how to treat you and love you. And even if they don't align with it or don't care to, I had to tell someone, through this experience, you don't have to be a part of my world. That's my choice. How many people can say that? That's my choice. Because some people feel like, I know someone who, being that they had kids by someone, they feel like they don't have a choice. Or not even just feel free will, but like have a choice not to be a part of someone's life because kids are involved. I be telling them, I'm like, bro, you do have a choice. Because even if it gets real rah, man, the way these trends and the way everything has shifted right now, the way karma or the way you plant seeds will backfire. That means when people have ulterior motives or are trying to hide shit or trying to do something behind the scenes, the more in tune you become, you will not be surprised in the physical what the fuck they do. That's the thing about balance. That's the thing about the beauty of a gift. Y'all think it's a curse. You think I wanted to believe it ain't even just mom and dad. It's the fact of like looking at their ass spiritually. First of all, I've faced things that you haven't. That don't mean make me more valuable. That makes what I value more valuable. That means you care to do the same shit and run the streets or whatever it is you call yourself to do. My value system has completely changed. Meaning like some of y'all that let's say you call it co-parenting or whatever it is, there's still value with that. You cannot change what the mother and father does because a lot of that reflects their value system. But you can be the upside. You can be the balance to that. Because eventually, as always, the child will, just like myself, they will always come to the awareness or come to the terms and come back home to what integrity, authenticity, who's safe. And that's a shift that's happening right now with a lot of people. When you become more in tune, emotionally safe, and recognize these things that are valued, as you drift in alignment with that, the child will. That's why naturally, what I'm seeing happen, when I say I warn the mothers, I was like, bro, if y'all don't see the importance of being in tune and being in alignment because the frequency and the collective, everything is changing. If things are shifting to people wanting to be safe, not just because we recognize what not safe physically, that has to do with the internal because we've allowed other people to make decisions what is safe for us. And they were the most unsafe people because they were emotionally unstable, unstable, whatever the fuck you call them. They were numb to their emotions. And so some of us have more of a responsibility in doing this, in what we call spiritual warfare, because you can be in connection with someone who's internally going through something that they may not ever, they don't know how to come out of it. So you can be the guiding light or be a guide to them knowing, listen, you're going to have to do this shadow work too. And see, that's the thing that is being restored is the spiritual aspect. As people come more in tune, they're going to be recognizing why they have to move away for their safety of spiritual protection and physical protection. Because as you move away, you're going to be called to do things completely different. And it's going to be built from a place that, because things that happen in the spirit are things that are timeless, meaning that whatever you build or whatever you are orchestrating there that trickles into the physical, you have the intention to set for something longevity to build up on generations and generations. That's why it's so important. When you discerning and see some type of women, men and shit, man, I don't care what their status is. They don't care to build on shit for generations to come? Because for one, a lot of what their mindset and their belief system is so focused on superficial and surface shit to where, guess what? If they don't see the importance of the spiritual well-being, the emotional well-being that plays out through the mental and physical and all that, it's a dead end before it started. It's already destroyed because everything is shifting. So now, that's why it's so important that it's vital with doing the because a lot of these people you thought, just look at what's happening. A lot of the shit that you thought, like look at people getting the layoffs, the money, the monetary thing, the things happening globally, because I told y'all there's a shift in leadership and power. That the shift that's already happening is going to keep happening. Because that what y'all thought was promised, you got to think about people literally, due to the powers that used to be in so much shit, people literally believe or have belief systems on literally keeping everything divided amongst hatred, amongst skin color, nationality, and so forth. These kids, these souls, these generations that's coming, they don't want to live in your shit, my shit, her shit. Your shit, his shit. Because they be like, hold on. They're naturally at this vibe or frequency coming in, just as we were discerning with our mothers and fathers and starting to figure them out. What makes you think that they're not just as powerful? And they're going to start, hold on. They're going to pick up on vibes. That's why some of us know it ain't about all that fear-mongering shit, that fear frequency. People are going to lead with that shit. People that hold a frequency of authenticity, love, gratitude and shit, they're going to have more of appreciation for the human experience, for life, and be discerning who isn't that. We are already orchestrating, navigating, building, grid building on the order is already here. Like, what the fuck? And that's the thing about the shadow aspect. It's like, why the fuck wouldn't I, in knowing this, why wouldn't the divine give me insight on, man, stay clear of that motherfucker. I don't care who he is, who or she. Fuck no. They got some shit with them. And if they got some shit with them, they trying to bring that shit over here to you. And guess who it's going to affect? Your children. Like I told y'all, most of these beings and all this shit, bro, they don't have no fuck. They don't care about their well-being. They don't give a fuck about your well-being or your kids' well-being. So guess what? They don't care about the well-being of your generations that come after your kids. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. I don't know what the fuck y'all on. So guess what? I'm going to hold a mirror up to anybody. Because to whom is given, much is required. You don't give a fuck. You put it in my face. I don't care about no politician, no status, or nobody. They going to get a mirror. They going to get a fucking mirror. Like I said, people be knowing who you are in spirit. And once y'all start to become in tune, you will start moving accordingly and realize, like, oh, yeah, what can you come tell me that the divine ain't already expressed to me about who you are? You gonna present me with what? How many dollars, gifts, ornaments? You gonna present? No, because y'all gotta realize that's the fuck what happened generations ago when they were presented with land to sell out other people and betrayals. A lot of y'all holding on to that shit. And a lot of us, the ones who did not were not included in the betrayals, but we were affected by the betrayal. We hold that shit in our bodies. And that's why the fuck a lot of us are angry. Now we need to be angry for the righteous reason. That righteous anger. To know that we were tricked out of our positions. And now we start to realize, oh, you tricked the ancestor before because they didn't give a fuck. So they really tricked themselves out their position because they wasn't discerning. This ain't happening here. Fuck you and them. Because every ancestor wasn't for the highest good. And they know it. That's what they want to tell you. Keep calling on them. Listen, that's why a lot of y'all been looping through shit. And a lot of people are those present day. They hold those, a lot of y'all family members and people and spouses and people, they hold that same fucking frequency. The fear of the fucking unknown. I'm not, oh, well, I don't know, so I'm gonna be familiar. I'm gonna just stay on this side. You stay your ass right the fuck over there. Because if you ain't gonna get with the fucking program, stay your ass right over there. Because this motherfucker comes with term and agreements. Term and agreements. Decree and declares. Telling y'all really, this shit is bigger than me. This shit is big because think about the fact of when you think about if some of us hold a frequency, that means some of us are a literally walking spiritual contract. I just channeled that shit. Real talk. You are a spiritual contract in the fucking physical. You thought you had to come here and agree to everything. Do you know the power you fucking hold? Because once you become in tune, you realize when two people come into agreements, where there are two or more, I am amongst them. So you got to realize, even when people come together, when those chiefs and those people, when galactic, all that shit, when people came, there was an agreement. And when someone or somebody, that's why I tell y'all, even in, a lot of y'all don't realize a lot of y'all connections with people, when y'all hear about karmic contracts, that shit was spiritual first. It's spiritual. That's why I tell y'all, some people in your life had an opportunity to do things to balance out the karma this lifetime. That's wild how this little boy walking here with a crown on his head. That shit fucking wild. I don't want to show you because that's somebody's child. He went and left and the lady brought him back with a crown, bro. Heavy as a head that wears a crown. I had to see that because that's a responsibility. You know, again, y'all don't realize like a lot of this shit spiritually, because people have, and some of your connections, some of y'all need to hear this. In your doing the shadow work or healing, whatever the fuck you at on your journey, coming into your awakening, whatever it is, the way energy plays out for some of y'all is that people have an opportunity even through that, whether you created karma, because naturally we create karma for people, whether we did, if you want to call it right by this person, whether we didn't do it, it comes back full circle where you have the opportunity to clear that or balance it. This is why I know with certain people, I know that the contract with me, because of how I've elevated, or because I've had a different mindset, renewed my mind, my way of life and so forth, the contract is breached, it's void. Because in their agreement, they don't realize like this time, this lifetime or whatever it is, this present life, we did something past life, but this lifetime, we're supposed to do something completely different. You didn't do that. So now that's why you hear, like in the spiritual term, people have debts to still pay. That's why a lot of us don't, like, in that shadow work, you'll start to recognize, like, sometimes ancestrally and generationally, a lot of shit you're going through karmically is paying off a fucking karmic debt. That's something. Like, again, how deep could I go with this? It's like, think about my dad. It's just like, when I look at what he's doing, like I connected with him today, and I just see the hard labor and a lot of stuff he's doing, that's what he's choosing. In my world, and what I'm choosing to do is that through learning how, like, through healing past and future, or like being present, it's like, I realized like I've come to recognize that, for one, I don't have to work for money, because I am the spiritual currency. So I come to do something completely different. I come to use my gifts and natural abilities, just as speaking, my natural arts, my natural vision, something that was given to me, because again, I keep telling y'all, people were given insight and so forth. They had the opportunity to do something different, because I'm telling you, that's why you hear mom and dad or grandma say, I always wanted to be this, but I went down this path. Or I wanted to do this, but you didn't. And that's no one's fault. That's why a lot of them have resentment and anger towards their spouse or their mother, their kids and so forth, because they'll blame this person because, well, had I not met her, I wouldn't have done it. Listen, I'm still fucking doing it. And I don't care who it pisses off, because guess what? The bigger picture, even if the person present you're with can't see the forest from the trees, it'll show you that they're not in alignment. It'll show you that they're not willing to karmically clear and go through what they need to go through to see their role in what they need to play. Like I've told y'all, like how people, like it's certain moments in your life, some people it's called to be in the driver's seat, some people it's called to be in the passenger. And the roles switch. Think about kids. They're not gonna always be in the fucking baby seat. They're gonna grow up one day, and sometimes you'll be the passenger. And now they grown, they big enough to drive. So a lot of things is karmically to where, like again, my grandfather, knowing what people did in their life, it's the awareness around what they did not fulfill and why they're angry at that, why they projected and why they the way they are. Because a lot of your mothers, a lot of your spouses, a lot of your partners are carrying shit from unfulfilled things that they didn't karmically get through, that they didn't have the integrity and courage to get through because they cared too much about how their mama felt, how their daddy wasn't there, how certain shit. Because again, everyone got a story. Everyone going through some shit. I'm giving you real and raw shit. I've been in situations where I realized why certain people couldn't come along with me, even though they was given foresight. They were given fucking visions. They were given shit, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" They were given insight, and it'll come out like, "Oh, you're gonna be a part." You. I'm like, "What you talking about?" In that time, you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Whole time, a lot of you like that. Your mama and them saw something on you early. Someone in your relationship, in that marriage, because you were called to go through that marriage, to clear that karma, to step into your own power. After that divorce, after that split up with kids, whatever the fuck it is, after that abusive relationship, whatever it is, to build on that. Because in alignment, because you thought that not having something wasn't going to bring you back into balance when it tells you that, all those things that were removed, I shall restore tenfold, or I'm living proof. But everyone thinks it got to just be materialistically. That shit happens spiritual. So everything you assume that they took, they can never take your fucking destiny. People that wanted to play God or play the Most High and disrupt your destiny and put certain shit, just because of what they were dealing with, spirits want to intervene and derail your path or detour and so forth. That's what alignment does. I shall make your enemy your footstool. And if you pay attention to the fucking signs, you will realize in discernment, this person the whole time, even through their ignorance and anger, they're still a part of my catalyst. And when he said, I shall prepare, what the divine said, I shall prepare a table in the presence of your enemies. And I know you got to know when you were an enemy of yourself and you recognize who is an enemy of you, that's what the divine be revealing to you before and through your table being set. Because the thing about your table is that your gifts is the fucking table. Your natural ability is that leg. Your integrity, your intuition is that leg. Your discernment is that leg. And everything else that comes with that, the table. Oh, this shit is stable. I did this with the support of the divine. With the support of other people, even through their ignorance. Because everyone's a part of it. But then when you realize that, and as you set the table, you will know, and through your building and setting the table, you will know that who breadcrumbed you along the way, who you know how much to give to, who what to serve what to. Even it'll shock people that you give them something, and they're like, what? Because somebody was trying to poison you in a way, you know what I'm saying? Like, poison your path, disrupt you in any way they possibly could. And you know what scares them? You come along and do the opposite of what they assume. You give them a plate anyway. Sometimes your table is being set not just in the presence of your enemies, but sometimes they don't even realize the table you set and prepared because they don't know how long the table is. You ever seen one of them big tables that they can feed this many people? What was that verse I saw today? I am the bread. What is it? John, is it 5:35 or 6:35? People don't realize. It's gonna start to click to them. Oh, it was that person. That your vision is a part of that John 6:35, where it was like when you come to a person and they will thirst no more. Because y'all don't see the importance of a person having a vision, a person being in tune. That feminine principle is that of like a running river that leads to the ocean, that waters everything. Y'all got people who just want to water their side of their garden, who just want to feed their family. But when you look at abundance and feminine energy, it not only feeds all, it touches all. That's why words are powerful. That's why what we do, how we say things and so forth, as much as you think it doesn't have an impact, it does. Because that's the thing about water and feminine energy that gives birth to everything. It has a ripple effect. And your fruit can either be pure or ripe or rotten. When you give shit too soon, it's a little too rotten. Everybody ain't supposed to like it. Especially when somebody is used to something rotten. So that's the thing. A lot of us are in position to set up things not just for us, but for lifetimes to come, for generations to come. You're supposed to see people. Let the divine reveal to you who are the enemies. Because you got to realize in those words, in those books, there were people who were enemy of God, of source, of the divine mother. Anybody who represented, who was an enemy of self in their distortion. Not to realize, like, do you know who you are? You don't. And that's why the divine mother don't realize this energy is giving some of y'all not just grace, but it's like when it's divine mother's like, say, touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm, not the ones who try to profit off of her children or the children of the future generations. Y'all gonna be cut off. That doesn't mean you won't be fed, but you will be cut off from, what do you call it? The promised land. See, the promises is something that is something you keep within yourself. Like, it's something that only divine can reveal to you. That's the vision. That's the promised land. Think about that. The promises of being true and knowing knowledge of self, knowing who you are, being true to the fact of I can still be me in a world of people who don't know how to be themselves. And even if they don't see it now, that's okay. They'll be cut off in a way of not being accessible. You know, and I gotta give this image, it's like, there's a difference between getting fed by food, fed with food that you don't know where it came from. There's a difference between the beauty in planting the seed and watching it grow. And then watching that fruit prosper. Watching that fruit touch other people. So when you hear the Garden of Eden, we're in it. When you This is just make your mind like ponder on something. If your children are the fruit, that means y'all call them offsprings, but it's just like they're an extension. There's a branch, right? So when someone else's generation is cut off, it's like the people who operated in wickedness or not that of righteousness or purity and so forth. For their mothers and fathers who operated in things, the way their children would be cut off, they don't see the importance in what they're doing simply because in their inability to recognize the fruit in what they're doing that is spoil, it's almost like have an effect on all those other children out there. That karma collected from that accumulated just for the seeds that come along, these children that come along who desire to plant things for everyone involved. Y'all are seeing families, generations, bloodlines of people who intentionally and purposely were placed in position just to show you what not to fucking be. And that cutoff is just a way of not seeing the beauty in other people grow and other children prospering, other people's fruit prospering alongside them. So the garden y'all desperately want to be a part of, as much as you've been given this illusion that it's growing, is rotting away, is withering away. Their world is done. Their garden has drawn up. Their roots aren't. When you're so selfish that you don't want to water your roots and the roots around them, that's what greed does. That's what selfishness does when you don't have a balance between pouring into self and to others. Y'all been convinced that that's the way to go. And that's okay for you, but not for me. Because a real leader gonna lead you to yourself and see the interconnectedness in everybody, not outside of their color and all that other shit that y'all care about. Because divine mother message is that, the abundance, making sure. Because again, a lot of y'all brought it upon yourself. You brought it upon yourself to accumulate whatever it is, because what does it profit a man or woman to gain all these riches and all this shit and lose their soul? Because the lose their soul is them being lost. They have no sight. They're in the fucking darkness. They're in the shadows. They still are in the shadows. They're still in the dark. Of course, they don't want you to see because they want you to stay there with them. Because when you look at the tree of life, hell is where the darkness of the roots are. Until you recognize that a part of hell is elevating to heaven, to where you see the fruits. So when you see that tree of life, notice the roots. That should tell you about people. That should tell you about their bloodline and what they orchestrate and what they want to do. And see, that's the thing that a lot of them saw coming. But a lot of them realized, like, your power, your magic, your whatever it is, don't hold no weight. So that goes for a lot of y'all. Y'all out here and y'all so, let me tell you something. I know of the mothers and people who would give their all. That has not been overlooked love, because that's an energy. You have planted seeds, and your kids and your generation will thirst not. That's what that shit is talking about. Y'all don't realize that shit biblically, all of that shit is prophecy. And all of those books, some of those books, shit that was. That's why some people know that the ignorance and even people who wanted to project themselves in this world to be of a higher ranking, yet you never wanted to see. You only wanted to see your children prosper. And it ain't just material shit. The things that they felt they kept, the veil is lifted. This ain't about convincing. This ain't about proving. Y'all are about to see it tangibly. All of that was, y'all thought that was taken was just being stored away. I'll tell you one thing about the divine. Everything is numbers. People lie, humans lie, beings, whatever it is. Numbers don't lie. And that's the vibration of things that have been kept. Telling you, hey, every tear, everything has been accumulated, has been collected from all the pain that will be gained. And you'll see people trying to prove themselves to be good. This shit ain't about good. People, we know who you are. People don't realize, like, when you hear people say a higher power, there is something higher. There's universal law, shit that people put out, they're going to get back. They have to learn just as other people who were in certain mind states and so forth had to learn. They would have to watch. And I'm telling y'all, it don't matter if it's your mother or your kids, father or your kids, spouse, part. It doesn't matter. If you have been doing the inner work, it's going to show. You don't gotta clap and for their downfall and wish that. No, I tell people all the time, they going through anything just like anybody else in their generation. They just had the opportunity. A lot of shit people go through has a lot to do with when you see them physically. Sometimes when you see them physically, seems like it's physically in jail or something. Not always a cause, but most of the time, that's a spiritual thing too. Some people have to be removed. Some people have to be the very thing they thought they were going to get away with. No, they haven't. And even if they feel like it's not going to happen to them, it's going to eventually catch up to someone. I told y'all, it don't matter what you think people got away with. And don't nobody get away with shit. The universe keeps receipts. That's why I don't be afraid of shit. I ain't fearless. Because the universe keeps receipts. I don't have to feel shame and guilt of the life that this chapter of my life that I embody and walk into. I don't have to look over my shoulder and be paranoid or fear. I have to realize, like, for one, either I was amongst people and I was picking up on their shit that had nothing to do with me, or it was a collective thing to where I had to become more grounded in who I am to realize, like, that shit ain't got nothing to do with me. Because some people feel like you got to go back and save them. No, the fuck you don't. Let them go through their shit. Let them go through their dark night of let them go through their experience. Let them go through what they need to go through. Because I had to. And if you reckon, when you realize the crystallization or what a butterfly goes through, everyone is either going to be willing to do that or not at all. Not at all. It's just like with children. You give them plant seeds now and realize, like, I have no doubt how divinely guided and protected they are. Because I know what I've sowed. I know the seeds that I've sown. And even when you meet people, y'all gotta realize how shit gonna play out. Whether it's with the mother of your kids, father of your kids, or whomever it is. Their motives or whatever it is will always be revealed. That's for your protection. Because that system, y'all gotta realize a part of that system was a part of all of that shit. That shit is done. Child support, all that deceptive shit, all of that, bro, all of that shit is done. Because a part of that was just to prey on the woundings, to keep the collective and generations, bloodlines in a dark state. Certain people are here to rise, and they are rising. And what that does, it not only breaks generational curses, but it it removes the blockages emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially. And that's the beauty of it, because they know that the power of when this comes down the pipeline is how much that individual and or people are going to make the world grounded, balanced, and neutral and green again. It's that powerful because the originals are here. Sounds like a fucking movie. And that's just what it is, because it's written. It's written. And it's wild because it's very powerful. It's like, it's some shit that only very few on this level will get. And again, they have the opportunity to either become an ally or to keep their generations in the dark and be fed off of and be banished. That's just what it is. So yeah, y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.